In this video, we will look at how to set up your environment to develop in Java. The first thing we'll do is set up your Windows environment, download the JDK, and download an IDE for development. So we'll start with the File Explorer. The File Explorer in Windows is like a digital filing cabinet for your computer. It's a tool that lets you look through the files and folders stored in your computer, much like flipping through folders in a physical cabinet. You can open it to find documents, pictures, programs, and other stored files. It's designed to help you organize, locate, and manage your digital files easily, displaying everything in a visually accessible and navigable format. Now this PC is where all of your files are stored. In here you will find your local disk, also called the C drive, and here are some important folders that you want to know. First of all, you want to look at your desktop folder, which is what you see in the background. The Documents folder is where everything will be stored that's related to your files, and the Downloads folder is where all your downloads are from the internet. You also need to know where the Program Files folder is. That's where all of your application lives. Now let's set up the environment. In order to set up your environment so that you can see the file types, we'll click on the three dots in an Explorer window. Then we'll go to Options and then select View. In there, we will go ahead and uncheck the Hide Extensions for Known File Types. Click on OK to apply it, and we'll see the extension for your file type show up at the end of your file name. A file extension is a short set of characters at the end of a file name after a dot. It tells you and your computer what type of file it is, like a label on a food container that tells you what's inside. For example, .txt tells us it's a text document. A .jpg is for an image, and .mp3 is for a music file. This helps the computer understand how to open the file and what program to use. It's like having different types of tools for different materials in a workshop. Now the environment's set up, let's go ahead and download everything we need to program in Java. The first thing we're going to download is called the JDK. A JDK, or Java Development Kit, is like a toolkit for building and running Java programs. Imagine Java as a language. The JDK provides the grammatical rules and a dictionary to create sentences, or the programs, in that language. It includes tools for writing a compiler and translating Java codes into a language your computer understands, plus libraries of pre-written code to help build programs efficiently. We'll talk about that in the lecture. In short, it's everything you need to start making Java applications. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our browser and enter the web address to download our JDK. Once you press enter, you'll see the page show up from the Oracle site. And over here, there's a number of different Java downloads. Let's go ahead and find the one that is right for our operating systems, in this case Windows. And we'll select the right installer package, which is the x64 installer, and click on that to download. The download will start after you click on it. We'll see that in the downloads area. And let's go find that in our File Explorer. So if you click on our Downloads folder, you will see the JDK installer in our Downloads folder. Now to install, let's just go ahead and double click on the install package. Once it's opened up, in some cases, you might have a security warning asking you whether you want to run the program. And if that's the case, just go ahead and click on Yes to continue on with the process. Now, when the installer shows up, we're just going to go ahead and click on Next to see all of the different options there. And one thing to note is the folder that you are installing your JDK into. We're going to come back to this later. For now, we'll leave it as is and click on Next to start the installation process. You'll see the status going through, and the installation process should take just a little bit over a minute, not that long. And we'll let it run. Once the installation is complete, we're just going to click on Close to close the installer. Now the JDK is installed, we need to make sure that Windows knows where the JDK is so that other programs can use it. But with that, we're going to have to find where the installation is. Remember that path that showed up when we started the installation process? Let's go to our File Explorer, go to our PC, the C drive, and into Program Files. In there, you'll see the Java folder. Let's open that up, and then open up the JDK folder, and we're also going to open up the bin folder. The bin folder is where everything lives that is related to the JDK. Now, how do we know where the files are? We're going to go up to the top and click on the space next to the path. Here you'll see the file path. A file path is like an address for a file or folder on your computer. Just as your home address guides someone to your location, a file path directs the computer to the exact place where a file or folder is stored. It includes information like the drive, like C, the folders, the subfolders, and the file name itself, providing a unique locator for every file and every folder on your computer. This way, the computer knows exactly where to find or save a specific file. Recording. So, in order for us to let Windows know where the JDK is, we're going to need to take this path and put it in the environment variables. To do that, we're going to right-click on the path, copy it, and let's go to the Environments Variables section in Windows. So we'll click on the Start menu and start typing the words Environment Variables in the search bar. You'll see Edit the System Environment Variables, and let's go ahead and click on that to open it up. So the system properties will have things such as your computer name, things like your hardware environment, and we're going to go to that Advanced section. In there, we're going to click on Environment Variables, and at the bottom, you see all your system variables. In here, we're going to click on the path, which stores everything that's related to other programs in your computer. Let's click on New to add a new entry. Paste the path that we just copied in here, so you see the bin file over here. Click on OK to save it. Here, we'll click on OK to close the window, and OK again to save this, and we'll click on OK one more time to close the system properties. Now your environment should be set up for use to program in Java. Now that we've completed the installation, let's verify it. So we're going to go to our Start menu, type in Command Prompt in the search bar, and open it up. The command prompt in a computer system is like a conversation window where you could type commands for the computer to execute. It's a more direct way of communicating with your computer, bypassing the graphical interface, the icons and all that. Imagine you're given written instructions to someone instead of using buttons and menus, and that's what using the command prompt is like. It's a powerful tool often used by advanced users for tasks that might be more complex or tedious to do with a mouse and a graphical interface. So to test our installation, we're going to type in the words Java with 2 dashes and the word version. Press enter, and if everything's set up properly, you should see your JDK version show up in the window. Now that our environment is set up, let's go ahead and download the area that we're going to be creating our programs with. And for that, we're going to download an IDE. Now, an IDE, or an integrated development environment, is like a fully equipped workshop for software development. It provides a set of tools in one place for writing, testing, and fixing code. Think of it as a combination of a word processor, a set of tools for identifying and correcting errors, and sometimes even helpful hints and shortcuts for coding. This makes it easier and faster to write and improve software, as everything you need is in one place packaged together. The IDE we'll be using is called Eclipse. Now let's go back to our text file and find the link to download Eclipse. We'll take this, go to our browser, and go to the actual Eclipse webpage. Now once on the Eclipse webpage, it'll automatically show you the right downloader for your environment. So we're going to click on the download x86-64 for Windows, and we're going to click on the download button to download the actual installer. Once again, the download will go into your downloads folder, so let's go ahead and go to that folder. Let's go to our Downloads folder, and you'll see now the Eclipse installer in your Downloads folder. Let's go ahead and double click on it to open an installer. So you see over here, there's quite a few different installers that are available for you. You see for C++, PHP, all the other different tools. Now what we're going to select is we're going to go back up to the top and select the Eclipse IDE for Java developers. This is the environment we'll be working with. Here, just make sure that everything is the default. You see the same path as you saw before for your JDK. What you'll also see here is the installation folder where Eclipse will be installed. Let's make sure that we create a start menu entry and a desktop shortcut and click on install to start the installer process. We'll accept the user agreement and the installer will continue on. I'll cut the video over here and let's come back when the installation is finished. So now the installer is about to finish, and once it's done, it'll tell you that it's completed, and there's an option to launch the IDE directly from the installer. But what I'll do is I'll show you how to open up the IDE directly from your Windows. So what I'm going to do now is close all the windows, and I'll show you how to launch Eclipse from scratch. Okay, now that we're on our desktop, let's go ahead and look at how to open up Eclipse. If you selected the Create Desktop icon, you'll find it on your desktop. If you didn't, you could find it on your Start window. Go again to your search apps and start typing Eclipse. And the first thing you'll see is the Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Let's go ahead and open that up. Now the first time Eclipse starts up, it's going to ask you for a workspace. The workspace is where all of your files will be stored. So this is your project files, all of your Java files, and everything. By default, it will go to your users and your username with an Eclipse workspace. Now, it's important to make sure that the workspace path does not have any spaces or any other non-English characters. So if you need to change it, we could go and hit Browse and go to a place and create a new folder for that. The best place is actually to go into your C drive and create a new folder here. So we'll click on the new folder and type in something that is a single word with no spaces. In this case, I'll say Java work. I'll open that up and say select the folder. And that'll save everything into the Java work folder. But in this case, I'm just going to go back to the default. So let's go back and set it to the original path. So I skipped a few steps, but you'll see now it's in the original path. Now, once you've done that, make sure you tick to use this as the default. And this way, every time you open up Eclipse, it'll use this and it won't ask you for the folder again. The first time you open up Eclipse, you'll see a welcome window. And this will give you a couple shortcuts to start everything or get information. Let's go ahead and close the welcome window. And let's have a look at the different screens within Eclipse. So you see this split up into a couple different sections. On the left here, you'll have the Package Explorer. This is where all of your project and all your files will be shown within your IDE. In the center here is your main editor window. So when you start coding, this is where all your code will be. And on the bottom will be the information section. So this is where the console or any error messages will show up. And we'll see that when we start coding. Now let's have a look at how to create your first project. To create a new project, we're going to go to the File menu, go to New, and then select Java Project. When you're creating a new Java project, you must give it a project name that starts with the uppercase letter and a single word. Make sure the create module info.java file option is unticked. So if it's ticked, just click on it again to untick it. We'll click on Finish to create the new project. So now that your new project is created, you'll see it in the Package Explorer. Let's open it up. Inside, you see all the libraries that you need for your program to run, and also the source folder where all of your files are at. Let's create a new file. So every Java program will start with a class file. We'll go in and give it a name. Now the class name should start with an uppercase letter and be a single word. In this case, let's call it my first class. Once you've done that, Let's also make sure that you have the public static void main method stub created. To do that, let's click on this to check it, and we'll click on Finish. So now that we've done this, you'll see your firstclass.java file in the Package Explorer. This is where you'll edit your code. And you also see the content show up in the editor window. Let's go ahead and type in something to start our program. So we're just going to print a very simple message called Hello World. To do that, we'll type in system.out.println, and that'll print a new line to the console. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and run the program. So on here, you'll see the Run My First Class.java button. You click on that, and it'll ask you if you want to save and launch. Now, any files that's not saved will have an asterisk in front of the file name. Now let's go ahead and select Always Save Resources so that we don't have to do this in the future. We'll click on OK, and the program is going to build and run in the console. So you'll see here now the program is going to print out Hello World in the console, and you've just now created your first program in Java. Okay, now what we're going to look at is how to find your file in your File Explorer so you could share your Java file to other people. To do that, let's go to our Package Explorer and right-click on myfirstclass.java or whatever file you want to find. In here, let's go to Show In, and let's look for System Explorer. That'll open up your Explorer window. And here you see the actual file called myfirstclass.java, and this is what you could use to share and or send to other people if you need to share your file.